Hello, welcome in, friends. Welcome to the Out of Our Minds podcast. My name is Bella, and this is my co-host, Nikki. Say hello.
Hello.
And we're so excited that you're here. Today's conversation is going to be really validating, juicy, motivating, and I think is going to bring a new dimension to conversations around being a spiritual entrepreneur, being a conscious human being that wants to create alignment, and all the things about manifestation and being present and being in the now, but you also have the dreams. And we've been talking about this a lot lately, and we wanted to bring another element to this discussion, really about the concept of kind of like hard work and hustle, and also the parts of the journey that are just downright hard and difficult, and that we feel like people don't talk about enough. People do not talk enough about the genuine hard parts of entrepreneurship, especially even through a spiritual lens. We think that because we're doing it with love and light and intention and manifestation and meditation, that it's all going to be rainbows and butterflies, and it's simply not. And there's nothing wrong with that. And at this point, you would know about what we mean when we say there's nothing wrong with that, because we just did a great episode on not letting your good and bad days define you. We did one on having a long-term mindset versus a short-term mindset. And it's really building the stage for what we do best on this podcast, which is to bring so much depth and layers and just nuance to life and having visions and being on a spiritual expansion path. Welcome in. Strap in and get excited, because this topic in particular, I love talking about this because I love just honoring and validating the very visceral experience that it is to work hard and have tough days of it, and to just be like on your mission and to feel that drive from within you, and to just validate people to be like, there's nothing bad about having that drive, and there's nothing wrong with wanting like material success in certain ways. It's all about the consciousness behind it. It's all about the intention behind it. So that's an overview of what we're going to talk about today. But Nikki, I would love for you to also drop people into the context of the conversation, how we kind of arrived at this. Because a few days ago, you kind of planted the seed of this topic, and we were like, oh yes, like this is very needed.
Yeah, I think it started when I was listening to a Melissa Wood podcast, and she was interviewing another entrepreneur who was definitely conscious and really tapped into their own spiritual journey. And when you hear people talk about their entrepreneurship journey, one of the things they said is like, people don't talk about enough the difficulties and like the hustle and the struggle that comes with starting your own business and going on your own business venture and doing the whole fucking conscious spiritual entrepreneur endeavor that a lot of us are on. And even if you're someone who is still in a 9-to-5, but is thinking about what it truly takes to start your own thing, this conversation is going to bring a lot of realness into what it truly takes. Yeah. And that conversation I heard on that podcast really inspired me, because we can talk about manifestation and how to be in the right energy, and to how we can have things drop in like overnight, and to manifest all these beautiful things. But another part of this conversation is like, there is a part of this journey where you hustle and you grind, and it is not fucking easy. And I have always said from the start that this journey is not freaking cut out for the weak. Like, you are going to be visiting parts of your shadow and the depth of your psyche by going down this journey. And it feels fucking uncomfortable at times. Like, not only is it the hustle of like doing the work and keeping yourself in alignment with like doing what matters and moving the needle and taking the action, but it's also the difficulty of like being on a spiritual journey while going on this entrepreneurship journey. They're kind of one and the same. You are literally shedding parts of yourself every freaking day, and you are having ego death after ego death. And if you don't have the awareness of like, okay, wow, this is like a part of the journey, you'll think that you're doing something wrong. Yeah. And we want to open up this conversation to really talk about the good and the bad, not that it's bad, but it's
Yeah.
the darkness that comes with being on this path.
Totally.
And it's the difficulty and the struggle and the fucking hustle. And we were talking about how this word hustle there's like an old paradigm way of talking about hustle, and then there's like the new paradigm way of talking about hustle. And when you're hustling in the wrong lane, it's going to burn you the fuck out. And when you're hustling in the right lane, it's going to feel tough, but it's going to be this good type of tough, like where you get through like a 20-mile hike, let's say, and all of a sudden you're feeling like that extreme pleasure and dopamine hit of like doing something that really fulfilled you. This is the mountain that you're climbing, is like entrepreneurship. And even when someone goes on a hike, like my husband did why am I forgetting the name of the mountain that he just climbed? Mount Whitney. I think it's the tallest peak in America. And he did that hike and it was fucking tough. Like he said, it was so difficult. Out of the group of 3 guys that he was doing it with, he was definitely the slowest, but he just like let them do their thing. But then when he got to the bottom, like it was an incredible moment of just like pride and gratitude for the hard work that you just put in. And this is what happens on the spiritual entrepreneurship journey. There's a sense of hustle that comes with it, but it is so different than hustling to chase something or to chase happiness or to chase peace. You are hustling because the actions you're taking are literally causing ego deaths and personal evolution that is next level. Like the feeling that you get walking through that fire is like a reason to freaking live.
Yes.
And it's not easy. So we wanted to have this conversation just to open up the floor of like talking about the difficulties and giving you guys a space to be seen and heard. Because I know for me personally, I'll just reflect on a little bit of my journey. When I was living in LA, I was not really in like the hustle mindset of like doing what has to get done. And this is something Sarah always said, my mentor. She would always say, and I'm pretty sure she got this from her mentor, Peter Crone. But when it comes to doing something, or no, it came from a business coach of hers. When it comes to doing something, I would always ask her, like, what does it take? And she would always say, it takes what it takes. And like, you have to look straight in the eye at your entrepreneurship journey or what it is you're trying to achieve and be really fucking real about what it takes.
Yeah.
And when I was in LA, I don't think I was in that mindset of like really putting all these distractions to the side. And as soon as I came to Arizona, like I'm working on the weekends, I'm working every single day. I'm like not working regular hours, like waking up at freaking 5 a.m. and working. Like there's a hustle aspect to this that fills my heart with so much fulfillment, but it needs to be spoken about more because I think a lot of people can look online and on Instagram and hear about the manifestation journey. And it's like, oh, they just like woke up and all of a sudden manifested all these things.
Right.
Like it's that classic image of the iceberg and you're only seeing the peak, and underneath it is like the fucking hustle and grind. And when you look at, let's say like my success online, you'd be like, oh yeah, she just decided to be a coach and that's it. I'm fucking like 5 years into this journey and just feeling like I'm at a point and being like, holy crap, I'm so proud of myself. But up until this point, like I've been fucking grinding.
Yeah. It's like we only see the literal highlight reel. And I think it's so important to give that. It's just also, it's really important to tell people what is actually required and what it takes, like you're saying, because it sets the proper expectation so that you're not, going into it and then either thinking you're doing something wrong or it's not happening and you're like, why not? And etc. And it's like, even for this podcast, like, yeah, we freaking love this and it fills our souls. We also fucking work our asses off for this. Like we
literally every week.
And it's like, we've also had nights that were like late nights working on shit. Like episode didn't get uploaded. Fuck, I gotta get up at 6 a.m. and fix it now. Like my Wi-Fi's not working, or like, shoot, I procrastinated and now I have 8 hours of editing in front of me. Like
you're staying up till 3 a.m. to contact Spotify like support when it wasn't uploading.
Yeah, it's just like the especially when you're wearing all the hats too. Like there's just the nitty gritty stuff that you got to do, and it's like in any line of business, you're going to have that. And I think sometimes that's where the Instagram highlight reel is really misleading, is because people think it's this like, it's all just fun and easy. And it's like, yes, it feels amazing. And like the reward and like, it is overall a beautiful experience. Like I wouldn't trade it for anything. And it's fucking hard. And you got to show up and you need to know what it's going to take, because if not, you're setting yourself up to be disappointed. And that's like the flip side of why it can be, yeah, just a hard journey. Because I, for a while, felt like people just make it look easy. And they talk about like, it just dropped in. And you're like, yes, that can happen. But like, let's also please bring, out from under the veil, the truth about the experience. And
like the human side of it.
Exactly, the human side of it. And even like, part of the reason this conversation got brought up between the two of us was because I had such a powerful conversation with my partner Milan about like my business goals, and he was helping me with like this program that I want to offer, and we've just been having a lot of conversations lately about my goals and like what it's going to take to get there. And in one of these conversations, he was just like saying to me, and this was like the context of the conversation was also that I was saying out loud like all of my fears and like the self-doubts that were coming up. And basically like the conversation reached this pinnacle where he was like, yeah, it's going to take hard fucking work. It's going to take you like be the best. Like if you're going to crush it in work, also crush it when you're doing yard work. Like he was giving this illustration of like what it means to know that you're so capable of something, that's what it takes. And it was like, you're so capable. And so like you have this incredible potential, but like you got to show up to make that come through. Like you got to put the time in and the work and like the considerations and do the business plan and do this and that. And it was like actually pumped me up because I was like, yeah. And that's exciting. Like that feels good to get shit done. Like that's just also, I think, a very human thing that people forget is that like, this is like scientifically proven is like just getting out of the house and doing like an errand makes you feel good. Like,
oh yeah, that
was the reel I sent you. Yeah. Where they were talking about like excessive rumination on your problems actually like is really bad for your mental health. And this doctor, I think she's a doctor or something, woman was saying how like, yeah, just literally like checking things off your list, like being very active and present in the day and like going out to, do an errand, grocery shop, whatever, improves your mental health. And it's like, yeah, duh. Like you're a human being that's like, it's built into the fabric of who you are to want to like solve a problem or get it done and get shit done. Like that's what we fucking do as humans. Like look at this world we're living in. That's because people have the audacity to go out and do shit. Like that is basic human beauty, and that's spiritual, right? Like that's where it doesn't have to be disconnected. Like they can be totally married together.
It's again like these polarities that exist of like presence and just being, but then also when you find a mission that you're so connected to, the hustle becomes very fulfilling, like what I was saying before. But when you're hustling in the wrong lane, it will cause burnout. And I even started to notice that with my journey that I start to get anxiety when I'm not doing the things I know I can be doing. And this is very real. Like yesterday, I felt super anxious and I said to Peter, I'm like, I feel like I'm anxious because I'm not doing the things that I know I'm meant to be doing right now. Like there's just a few things that I was hosting my best friend's bachelorette this weekend and things got pushed off a little bit because I was planning and getting things situated. But I almost just had this like pressure of like, okay, like my soul's like, okay, like when are we going to do this? Let's do this. And that is kind of like the healthy fuel that you get to like fuel your little like your hustle journey.
Totally.
And something else that's coming to mind now is I didn't realize when I was kind of like just 1 foot in, 1 foot out when I was in LA doing my business, and it was kind of just like I was treating it like a hobby. And there was a big mindset shift I made when I moved to Arizona with kind of like what you were getting at with the conversation with Milan of like seeing the business plan, getting like serious about like your revenue projections and all those things. Like when you see this as a business, you take action with it like a business. You show up like it's a business. No longer is the action you're taking dependent on how you feel and the energy that you feel. It's like, no, you show up every day and you work and you do the thing regardless of how you're feeling. And of course, yes, guys, there's nuance here. If you're feeling tired and off and anxious, like take care of yourself. This is not what we're saying. Like have discernment with what it is we're discussing now. But we're really painting the picture that like, it takes what it fucking takes. Yeah. And when I moved to Arizona, I started treating my business like a fucking business. And I had to take myself out of all of the distractions that I was unknowingly leaning into to run from the hustle that my soul was asking me to lean into. And it's a very real part of the journey where you come face to face with like, holy shit. Like I was spending a lot of time doing a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
And
right.
like doing a whole lot of distraction and a whole lot of numbing and just running. And there is nothing more soul activating and fulfilling than like, I'm sure this is a generator thing, but like having a full day of just fucking hustling and taking the action and doing the thing. You feel lit the fuck up. And it is an incredible feeling that I hope every single person on this planet can feel at least once in their life, to have a moment of just hustling and grinding with a path that is so fulfilling and so aligned with what they're here to do. And it feels fucking incredible, but it's also really fucking tough. So why don't we go into a little bit more detail on like the difficulties of this? Maybe we can share some personal experiences just to shine light on like, okay, we hear you. There can be difficult parts of this, but like, what is there to expect with the difficulty? Or maybe someone who's already in it, like what are some ways that we can connect to what they're experiencing? So for you, how do you feel like this difficulty or even like the healthy hustle ties into your own journey?
The difficulty part is just honestly that I think, in particular with the entrepreneurial journey, there's can be months and years when the work you're putting in, just like pure time, energy, like money investment, has just not yet paid off in a very just like material, like income way. So there's that. And that sucks sometimes, some days. Like it's hard that you balance between being in the abundance energy, counting you're grateful, seeing how you're being provided for in every sense of it, right? Not just by like maybe someone supporting you, but also through like life and miracles and having a roof over your head and your basic needs met. And then there's the times when you're like, I want the fucking payoff. I want to feel this. And that's just a feeling where you're in that dynamic. And I think it can be very healthy to actually be driven by that, fraction of the success. And something that has helped me in my journey a lot and has helped me also, I think, with how other people work is with all the human design and Gene Keys stuff, is like there are literally gifts and there's like energy centers and kind of ways that energy moves in our body that have to do with it being healthy to be motivated by money, or to be like motivated by making an impact, or being seen by a lot of people. And so each of us has like very naturally built in mechanisms that push us to want things. And so when you're feeling it, I think it's really important to not just like suppress that, and instead to be like, yeah, of course I want it. Duh. Like, of course I want to experience this thing. Like there's nothing wrong with that. It's so much about the consciousness behind it. So that's like a shift that I've made where, yeah, just like honoring those days and being like, I'm not going to call myself the bad guy or be like, oh, you're not as like grounded as you think you are because you want like this outcome to happen. Right. So it's like that balance of learning to, it's really just not making negative meaning out of the hard days of entrepreneurship when it's, not paying off yet, and it's tough day, and you're feeling a little lack of motivation and the doubt is coming in, and you have to just like pick yourself up and keep going. And that's very hard. Like that can either be, talking to your partner very openly about like, I'm doubting everything and I'm annoyed that I'm broke right now, like as an example. And like, this just sucks. And them having to like hold you through it or help you, be like, can we plan, like, let's maybe try this instead. Like, that's just the real about it being in that journey and having those days where it's really tough and the circumstances you feel like are not the ones you want. And that's where you play that balance game of like continuing to believe in yourself, but also being like, let's change something about this. Like, if you're not happy about it, fucking change something. Don't just like let it, define your whole life. On my own journey too, I grew up with a lot of lessons, I was really instilled the values of hard work and this idea of like, if you work hard, you can do anything you want. Like if you put your time and your energy into it, like there is literally nothing you can't do. I love that. I'm so happy that that was instilled in me because I think hard work is a fantastic value and ethic to have. Like I think it is just a very basic thing that will give you so much to lean on in life when you just have the ability to show up and get it done and do it, whether you're in college studying, you're at a job that you don't like, but there's a task in front of you, is just freaking do it, right? And then when you apply that to shit that you love, that's like just a very healthy, motivating force that I think is so good for us and good for our soul. But I had a phase where I was not making friends with my ambition, and I was thinking that it was like either I couldn't do it or it was bad to want these things, or I had this whole a few years ago I had this epiphany moment. I remember it so vividly. I was in the shower in my LA apartment. I was spending a lot of time alone. This was the summer of my spiritual awakening, and I had this moment of realizing that I had this limiting belief around the desire for fame and impact, and that I was denying that that's actually what I wanted. And I had this moment of being like, no, that's what I fucking want. Like, this is my soul desire, and I'm not going to shame it anymore. And that was a huge shift because it was me really just not letting other people's projections or what society says about X, Y, and Z to define me. And so I took the power back and I was like, no, I'm going to be friends with this ambition and I'm going to run with it. And that phrase is actually like my incarnation cross in human design. And that happened before I knew this, but it was like a huge shifting moment of just accepting and being like, I know me and this is what I want. So like, fuck what anybody else thinks or says. And it gave me like the agency to just, accept and be like, this is who I am. Like, I don't care if it seems different or not correct. Like, this is me. So like, bye.
Yeah. I think it's really cool to talk about like the human design aspect of this, because I do believe that like some souls came here to like fucking chill. And then some souls came here to like fucking grind and hustle. And it's all dependent on like these gifts and these life themes and the impact that our soul came here to make. And I'm not even saying that when you're not in like a mode of wanting to hustle that you're not going to make impact.
Yeah.
Like there are people that honestly, I'm taking back what I just said, because I'm thinking about like, you can like hustle within the realm of like being a mother too.
Yeah.
Like that is a fucking grind
Yes,
in and of itself.
Totally.
And all of these teachings and lessons can be applied to any avenue in life too. I feel like it's not just like the entrepreneurship journey of like being the fucking best at whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah.
Whether it's showing up and being a mother every day and leaning into those tasks of just doing the most for your freaking children, or like leaning into hustling with your entrepreneurship journey and maybe building yourself up into being this famous figure that's going to have big impact on the collective. Like you can really apply this into any avenue, and it really is just powerful to think about like this word hustle. I feel like it goes hand in hand with what I was saying before about like really stepping away from the things that are not in alignment with your path and that are not going to serve you in this journey of you shifting into that reality and that timeline. Because I think a part of the difficulties of this journey is to say no to the things that don't help you and they don't serve you. And it's really hard to kind of see that when you're in it, when you're like so attached to certain ways of being or certain relationships or certain ways of showing up in life and leaning into all these distractions and things that are just like not serving you. That is part of the difficulty of like being able to walk away from those things, because you get back so much energy to actually put that towards the hustling and the actions that are actually going to help you. But yeah, just going back to what you said, I wanted to share that because it was on my mind before I lost it. It's really powerful. I feel like that moment that you had in the shower of just like recognizing the ambition that you have and like really fucking claiming that, because that fulfills you. Like that is you being in alignment with the impact that you're here to make. And to deny that because of societal programming or the way that we perceive hard work, it is against your path of alignment, and it's going to actually cause you to feel anxious and unaligned with your soul. So for the listeners out there, like if you guys are listening to this and you're like, yeah, I fucking resonate with like, I have a big mission, I have a big vision. And maybe you can think about like a time in your life where you freaking hustled to get something done. And if that felt good for you, if it was something that was in alignment with your soul, maybe you're also someone that like is here to like put in the hard freaking work. And also the hard work that comes with like caring for your energy, because this is another part of the entrepreneurship journey within the realm of spirituality, that it takes hard work. Like it takes work to wake up and meditate and to do the things that center us and care for our energy, because you are a sensitive freaking being. Like I don't even care who it is that's listening to this. If you're listening to this podcast, you are a sensitive person, and to fulfill your dreams and to be on that path of alignment, it takes doing the work of caring for your energy, which I would say honestly is even like more of the work.
Yeah.
For me personally, that's how I've felt. Like
For sure.
it's almost this form of hustle with like caring for yourself and being so ruthless with your self-care.
Yeah.
And really going in on your self-care as an avenue of hustle with your journey of like fulfillment and soul alignment. But do you want to talk a little bit more about like the human design gifts, and maybe we can just list them out? And if you guys have the human design app, or you know your human design chart, you can pull it up and look at your gifts. And I want Bella to like go through this list of numbers that resonate with what we're talking about now.
Yeah. So basically, just to give a little bit of context, in human design and in Gene Keys, there is what we call the gifts or the gates. And it's 64 of them. It's based on the I Ching. And effectively, they're kind of like archetypes in a way, because ultimately we all experience some version of these, but each of us has a certain number of them activated within our chart. And if you're looking at a human design chart, you'll see like there's a bunch of numbers within the body, within the shapes of the body graph. And the ones that are basically like colored in either form half a gate or a full channel, those are the ones that are activated. And then the step after that is that then you have 4 of them are your biggest ones, and it's the same human design. The 4 biggest gifts are the same ones that you have in Gene Keys. So if you look up your Gene Keys profile, it gives you 4 numbers. It's the same ones as human design. So that's a great thing to know, because if you are in the human design world and you want to know more about the gifts and gates, you can read in depth about each gift in like the Gene Keys Richard Rudd book. But yeah, so with the gifts, what's really freaking cool is that they all, I mean, they're gifts, right? They're called that for a reason, because they're innate to us and they're things that we naturally have access to. They also come with a shadow and a light element. So like, it's not to say that, you know, if you have gift 21, you're just like an automatic master of it. Like there is a journey to mastering and embodying the gift. But as it relates to hustle and hard work, there's some gifts that kind of show us that there are either people that particularly have this gift within them that would make them inclined more so to this idea of like hustle, hard work, going for something, being motivated either by like money or impact or creating something. And this, what I'm about to read, is not exhaustive, but it's like ones that I pulled that I know have to do with this discussion we're having. I'll add one more thing. Another way you can think about this is each energy center represents something different. And so there's certain gifts that when they are in a certain energy center, it kind of like gives it oomph, because for example, there's an ego heart energy center, and that one really governs wanting things. It governs the material realm of kind of like this I, me, mine idea of like, you know, as a human being, as an individual, you're going to want things. And that's a very important archetype and dynamic of humans. So a lot of the gifts that live in the heart and in the ego center are going to have that idea of like, it's healthy for you to want things, to want money, etc. And the other energy center that I point out is the root center, because that one also in particular gives a lot of, it's a motor center. So it has energy and it wants to kind of like give you pressure to get things started or get going or get something done or whatever it is. So some of the gifts, basically look at your chart, and if you have some of these numbers, you can maybe look into them more. So there's gift 54, which has to do with achievement, ascension, or providing for yourself. It's very much oriented towards like related to ambition. 53, which is the starter upper, the initiator, momentum builder. So people that really like to get, things started, really like to get the ball rolling on things. The 51 gift, which is a shaker upper, having a big impact, ambition. This one is also in the heart ego center. So like that's the energy associated with it. There's a gift 42, which is realizing potential, and has to do with like you want to really see something to its full like ripening. You want something to like start as just an idea and get it all the way to the end. There's 40, which is also in the ego, which is being a giver and a provider. My dad has this gift, and it's something I learned about him that I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense, because he's like always been incredibly driven to provide for our family. So that's like providing for other people. Gift 9, which is all about focus and precision, and also creating momentum. 21, which is cultivating personal power and taking charge. So like you're literally meant to be in charge, like take charge of things. And this is a gift that it's very healthy to be motivated by money. Gift 21. And then the last example is gift 26, which is tailoring your message or being very passionate. And this one is in the ego. So it also has a very a healthy dose of motivation for success. So it's just like a bunch of examples to basically say that there is literally a reason. That's not just, we've been conditioned to work hard in America or wherever you live. It's like, no, we literally have this built into us that we are going to have gifts and things that push us to, shake things up, start, achieve, provide for other people, like feel powerful, be passionate, right? Like these are things that are very innate to who we are as souls.
If you think about it, it's like we need these people. Like how you said before, if you look around at society and everything that we've created, without these types of like shaker uppers or people that are driven for achievement and success, it's like we wouldn't move the needle,
Right.
It's such an essential part of our collective. I feel like another one that could be in here is the going to extremes would be a super
totally.
entrepreneurial type of energy.
Yeah, that's gift 22, I think, is going to the extremes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. As you're saying all this, I'm like hearing what you were saying about it's the consciousness behind everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's reminding me of essentially the subconscious aspect of this, because if we're hustling in order to like fill a void or to one day feel something that we're seeking outside of ourselves, this is like where the paradoxes come in again. Because a big shift that happened in my journey was when I started hustling from like the energy of completeness.
Oh, yeah.
It's like hustling because the impact that you can have and the message that you have is meant to be heard, versus hustling to like get something and then to feel something from that. I feel like this is where we get to talk about this as well, because that's where I think hustling out of your lane, we tend to hustle out of our lane when we're hustling in order to get something that we think is going to give us the feeling.
Right.
But when you're hustling in your lane, it's like you're coming from this energy of like knowing deep in your core, the gifts and the purpose and the mission that you have, and it becomes a fulfilling process in and of itself. And it's interesting to talk about here because it is healthy to be motivated by external things, like how we're saying, being motivated by money and freedom and accessing that lifestyle. And it's just a balance and a dance of understanding that you can be present with the process, like how we talked about in episode 46 with the long-term mindset, while also seeing the end goal and the vision. And I'm a very big advocate of saying that those external visions are there to drive us, like how you're saying, they're there to give you that healthy push of pressure. And it's just that dance of understanding, okay, like, is there any sort of subconscious perception here of me believing that the end goal is going to make me more complete and whole than I am right now? Because if that's the case, you get to just lean into, okay, is there a part of myself that's fully not on board with the actions I'm taking right now because they're thinking they can only be fully present when I'm at the finish line? And you get to just play around with the ego death aspect of this journey too. Like there's going to be parts of ourselves that die and parts of ourselves that dissolve, including these beliefs that the end goal is going to give us that sense of self, when it's the journey that gives you the sense of self. It's such a nuanced conversation, and there's so many different angles you can talk about it from. But I just wanted to add that little reminder here that the subconscious does play a role in this, and we get to perceive ourselves as whole and complete souls that are here to make an impact and that are here to serve and that have special gifts that are meant to be shared with the world. And when you come at your journey, not journal, of hustling through that energy, the hustle feels different. Like you feel a difference in the hustle when you're like, I'm fucking going at this because I know I'm here to make an impact, as opposed to like treading water and thinking you need to like get somewhere in order to then have that like sigh of relief. Yes, it's difficult, but the hustling feels a little bit different.
Totally. Yeah, I feel like a good question you can ask yourself to reflect on in your journal is like, there's always a good kind of framing of, if you're thinking about like, what would you do? Let's say it's like you had all your needs taken care of, like all the money in the world, like whatever, you're good, right? Like what would you spend your time doing? That's a good starting point. It's not the end point. It's like, it's supposed to be a warm up, because some people will answer and be like, well, I would just, sit on the beach all day. The thing is, that gets old very quickly. And no matter what, you're going to want to go probably do something on the beach or like do something somewhere else.
You need
like
purpose.
Yes, purpose. Right. But it's like trying to pinpoint it of like, okay, once you like had the vacation that you're desiring, like then what is the thing that you genuinely enjoy? And it can be anything. Like you could be fascinated by knitting. Amazing. If knitting freaking tickles your fancy, like go ham on that, right? It's like, so that's the question, is like, what would you be willing to do for basically no pay if you had everything else taken care of? And I think that's really important too, because if you're going to pursue it, there is the reality of the part of the entrepreneurial journey, or whatever the journey is, like at the beginning or whatever it is, that sometimes you're not always getting the external reward. And so the thing in and of itself needs to feel fulfilling. And I think that's a really good way to know if it's your soul wanting that, or like the like stereotypical ego wanting it, right? Like if I think about the feeling that I get from being on a stage and leading experiences, like I'll do that all fucking day. I love that. It's so fun. Like I would do that for free. I basically for years have been doing versions of my dream for free, because like I was in that early stage of not making money from it, right? So it's like asking yourself that, I think, helps you to sort of shift away from like, just identify what would be ego driven versus a soul driven thing that then you're super willing to go ham and put the time and the energy into hustling for it.
Do you agree that once you have the hit of like the business idea or the reason why you're here, or the mission or the purpose, that once you like see that and you think in your mind, okay, this is what I want to do, you can't unsee it.
Oh my God.
Like you can't start a soul aligned entrepreneurship journey and then backtrack. I'm sure there are moments where like you can backtrack and you go back into like the 9-to-5 life, but like once you're in it, you can't go back.
Dude, it's like a
like
taste.
You have signed the paper of like, I'm down, I'm in it, and let's fucking go. And that can feel really scary, but it's also really freaking incredible. But I'm curious if you agree with that.
Oh my God. I think totally yes. I mean, it's like when you give yourself permission to visualize it once and then you see it and you feel it, you're like, okay, I'm never going to go a day without visualizing this. Like, it just, I think it's fully like you get a taste of it and you realize how expansive it is to live a soul's purpose. Like it's not addicting. It's just like who you are in a way. So you realize like, I'm never going back. Like I'm not going to, give up on this no matter how long it takes. And that's where like the long-term mindset will come in, because you're like, I know this is for me. I'll do whatever it takes. Like it's inevitable.
It also just feels like so inevitable. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think just one more thing that I can mention about like the subconscious aspect is like really feeling into when you're on this journey, how tapped in you are to your power and your abilities. Because I think the hustle journey gets easier, and I'm going to use that word lightly, when we're connected deeply to an inner knowing of how fucking powerful we are. And when we feel disempowered, the hustling journey then turns into kind of like the treading water of like just trying to like find air. And yeah, it's going to feel difficult, but first do the work of tapping into that inner knowing of how fucking powerful and capable you are. And this is where a little bit of subconscious work could come in, of just giving the stage and the microphone and putting a spotlight on the parts of yourself that maybe are still not believing that you can even do this, or that it's not something that you're capable of achieving. And when you speak those fears into space and you speak them into your journal, you speak them to a friend or a loved one, you are giving that part of yourself a voice. And it's no longer going to control you in the shadows where the hustling becomes this difficult treading water type of thing. As soon as you give a voice to the shadowy aspects of ourselves that maybe don't feel as powerful, essentially what you're doing is you're taking them out of the shadows and into the light. And you're looking at subconscious perceptions and you're starting to dismantle them and really starting to see them at face value and starting to question the truth behind them. And as you do that, you're going to dissolve false perceptions and beliefs, and you tap into this innate inner power. And for all you guys listening, and you're like, okay, I have this idea, an entrepreneurship idea, you have a business idea, and you really want to go for it. You know, you have gifts, you know, you have a purpose, you know, you are here with a mission. Just begin to really explore this wider perspective of how fucking capable you are. Like, you came down to this planet that is fucking floating in outer space, and you came down here to make fucking magic. And there's that saying that everyone always says of like, how can you not believe in miracles when all of this is just like one big miracle? I forget the words. I'm kind of botching it, but just really look around at all the magic that exists outside of us. And it's so easy to get lost in the sauce with our limiting perceptions and to be in the matrix and like the whole freaking 9-to-5 life and just kind of like getting stuck in these very limiting ways of seeing ourselves. But just start to like explore wider perspectives of how you can see yourself and the fucking magic that you hold within and your abilities to manifest and to attract a reality that is so in alignment with your soul. And when you are moving through life with that inner knowing, then it fucking takes what it takes. The hustle becomes just a part of the journey, and it's not this like, I don't know the proper word to describe it because it is difficult to talk about the two types of hustle just because of how ingrained the word hustle is in our mind as like a negative thing. I wish there was almost another word that we could use here. And if you guys have a word that's like popping up.
Hard work, because you can't really argue against hard work.
Yeah, hard work. Takes what it fucking takes. Like, it becomes very clear to you the action that's required when you're in that energy of like, I fucking know I can do this. And there are going to be days, this is another part of the journey, where the ego comes out and you feel like you can't fucking do it. And please do not give up when this comes up, because this is another difficult part of the path. And this is where the ego deaths come in. There's going to be days where you're like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can do this. I don't know if this is capable. I don't know if I'm capable. And just give that part of yourself a voice and space and compassion and love and presence. And you will experience ego deaths in that moment of dissolving parts of yourself that are no longer in alignment with where it is you're stepping into. And that's another really uncomfortable, difficult part of this journey, is just being in that doubt and being in that fear and becoming a big enough vessel to hold space for it. And I just wanted to shine light on that part of the journey too, because as you go down this path, that ego is going to fucking rage. It's going to want to keep you comfortable. It's going to want to keep you safe. And if you can start to have different tendencies with the way you relate and respond to those voices and have a healthy relationship to that doubt and that fear, you're going to be fucking golden. And then the hustle comes from the soul as opposed to the ego. And I think that's where the biggest shift is.
Yeah. Yeah. The last thing I was going to add is just that just because we're saying it's hard doesn't also mean that it's really fun. Like, that's, I think, the key too is, you know, and this is where you figure out like if it is fun for you, right? Like this is where everyone is different, but like, you know, speaking for myself, it's like I like it. I just like working hard. Like I think it's fun. Like I love that process and like getting something done, seeing it come to fruition, checking it off, like that feels good to me. I think most human beings resonate, you know, with that like it just feels good and is a fun part of life to witness yourself like achieving something. Like it's
Yeah.
great. It feels fucking good. Like it releases good chemicals. Like you become a better person through it. You become more of who you really are through it. And that's where what we're saying is kind of tying it all together is like you get bestowed this vision and this mission because showing up to do it is what will activate your truest self and who you really are on a soul
Yes.
level. And that's why it's fun and rewarding. It's like, yes, you could be like up and it's 2 a.m. and you're kind of tired and you have to get up early, but you really want to finish this because you love it. And like, yes, it's hard, but it's like a workout. Like it's hard, but it's also fun and it feels great.
It feels so good. I felt like that was a given. That's why I wasn't talking about that much. But like, let's also shine light on like the amazing aspects of this journey.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I would not trade this for anything. Like, there is no other path that I would want to be on because this is so fucking fulfilling. And like what you're saying, you meet the realest parts of yourself through this journey, the truest parts of yourself. And you meet your edges and you overcome challenges and you grow and you expand and you find purpose in the journey of expansion. And I thoroughly do not think I would be as happy as I am in life if I wasn't going through all of this fiery, challenging, difficult parts of being an entrepreneur because it's making me a stronger me and it's giving me insight and perspective on life that I don't think I would have if I wasn't doing this. But it is so fucking fulfilling. Like if you are debating going into this journey, lean the fuck in. This episode is here to just shine light on the realness of this path and so that you don't give up when you're faced with coming like face to face with your shadow or your doubt or your fear, or you're having days or even weeks or even fucking years of not feeling like the needle is moving. Do not give up. Like you came down here with a fucking mission in your heart and you're meant to lean into this path, and there's going to be hard days, but there also is a really beautiful part of this journey that is going to fulfill your soul in ways that you cannot even understand from your current perspective. And it is so fulfilling and it's so incredible and it's a fucking trip, but it is a good fucking trip.
Have a good trip.
Have a good trip. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. Reach out to us. We want to hear how this episode connected with your current journey, or maybe where you're at with thinking about going down the entrepreneurship journey. We really do see this as like we're all fucking in this together, and this journey is meant to be assisted with the help of community, which is why we thoroughly believe in creating spaces for people to come walk hand in hand with other people that are navigating this. If you guys are interested in joining our Omi's Oasis, there are so many people in that group that are on this journey of really exploring their entrepreneurial path, what they came here to do, their mission, their purpose. Every time someone sends a introduction text, you can always see like they're like, I'm in a 9-to-5, but I'm exploring other things, or like I know that I'm meant to do something else. And then there's some people that have already started their journey. There's people at all different stages and parts of their path. But I just wanted to add that in here, that like you are not meant to navigate this alone. And when you hear stories like this and when you connect to like other humans that are navigating this journey, we're all going to help each other and really walk each other home in a way that would be more difficult to do on your own. And there's dark sides of this, and we're here to fucking hold your hand through that darkness and to bring you over to the light. So just know that we're here. We'll leave the link for the Omi's Oasis down below. If you've been getting the hit to join it, now's the time. We have a beautiful workshop. Oh, actually, no, it would already have happened by the time that this comes out, but we're going to be doing another workshop at the end of May that will be in the vault that you can watch on rerun if you want to do a little drop in of what that is.
Yeah, we're going to have Ava Johanna come in, and she's an incredible person. She's a dear friend of mine. She's also the founder of Academy of Breath. She's a business coach and just a total trailblazer. She's going to help us basically figure out how to take all the energetic upgrades that we've been receiving and turn them into action and building momentum. So yeah, if you join the Oasis, you'll be able to access a vault that has I think now over 5 or 6 workshops in it that are all so life-changing and powerful. Such a steal for only $25 a month. So check it out.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week. We love you. Bye.
Bye.